Hello friends, that may sound a little odd to you because I tuned my soprano uke to baritone tuning. So let's talk about what that is, why I did it, how you can do it, and whether it really works. A standard ukulele is tuned high G, C, E, A. A baritone uke is tuned down below that to D, G, B, E. Now a standard baritone ukulele would be in linear tuning, meaning that this string closest to the ceiling would also be a low string. What I have used is reentrant baritone tuning, or high D, G, B, E. Now why would I do this? The short answer is Lyle Ritz. If you don't know who Lyle Ritz is, pause this video and search for Lyle Ritz ukulele and prepare to have your mind blown by some of the finest jazz ukulele playing that has ever existed. Lyle, for most of his career, played a tenor uke in reentrant baritone tuning. Benny Chong also uses this tuning. My friend Bill Wynn uses this tuning. Many folks use this tuning. It is not new, revolutionary, or anything that I thought up. But I've never seen someone playing it on soprano. In making this video, I found that there are a few folks out there also playing this on soprano, which makes me so happy. See, when I had my Ancestors Type 1 made, it was supposed to be my low G uke, and I've loved it in standard low G linear tuning, but I've really missed the sound of reentrant. I want that robustness of the low G string, but I also want that sound that is so ukulele that we don't get from other instruments. So I want reentrant, and reentrant baritone does this perfectly because it still gives you the low G, but we get the reentrant tuning with the D. Now, of course, it doesn't go quite as high as a standard C-tuned ukulele would, but there's always going to be a compromise. So let's look at how I did this on this instrument. Luckily, a few string manufacturers do make reentrant baritone sets for tenor-sized ukulele, but if you know about uke strings, you know that many manufacturers sell the same exact gauge in different lengths for different size ukuleles, so it's not that much difference. If you're worried about the tension, you don't need to be, because if we're taking a set that is designed for tenor ukulele and putting on soprano, a shorter scale, as soon as we go to a shorter scale, we have lower tension than the set is spec'd for, so you're not going to break anything by trying this. Now for the low G string, in my experiments, I already know the low G that I love, which is the Uke Logic Smooth Wound Gold G. On soprano, I find that I really do need a wound G. I haven't found an unwound one that I like. And the other happy part about this is that with a wound G, you shouldn't need to change anything at your nut. You won't have to file anything or hurt your instrument to try this. Now, obviously for the E string, you already have an E string. Just bump it up one position to where the A was. And same with this B string, it's essentially a C string that is tuned down a half step. So you can use 3 of the strings that you already have. Now the high D string, this is sort of an in-between gauge. The set that I'm using on here is the Living Water reentrant baritone set for tenor ukulele. And this D string does have the correct amount of tension. It feels balanced on the instrument, which is what we want, but you could potentially just use an E string or a C string tuned up to do this as well if you want to experiment. It won't be much more tension either way that you do it. I use the Living Waters. Pepe Romero also makes a set that is not reentrant baritone. It is just a short scale baritone, and you could tune this as linear baritone with a low D on here as well if you would like. Alex at Southern Ukulele Store has a reentrant baritone set that you can try, and there's also a Fremont one which I haven't had a chance to try yet, but so far the Living Waters are treating me pretty well. Just a quick note on how I think about playing baritone ukulele. As you probably know, all of the chord shapes are the same as we would play on regular C-tuned uke. If we played this shape, it would usually be a C, but because of our different tuning, it is a G chord now. So do you need to learn all new names for your chords? No, you don't. And that's not how I think about it. I still think about this as a C chord. This is still a C6, D minor 7, G13. What I think is that this is a transposing instrument, much like a French horn would be. So I have the knowledge that when I play C, it in fact sounds like a G. So if my friends want to play in the key of G, I'm going to pull up the chord chart and play that song in the key of C, and then I'll be able to use all the chord shapes by the names that I know and be able to play right along with them. The grass is always greener on the other side, so let's have an honest discussion about what's not optimal about this setup. As I already mentioned, the B string that I'm using is essentially a C string tuned down a half step. On a soprano scale, we're already working with quite light tension, so that half step really does make a difference to me. It's slightly unbalanced from the other strings. So I'm going to search around for a different B string to use, maybe a higher tension C string that'll give me a more balanced sound on here. Tension is a big consideration, especially when we're playing soprano, and this is why some folks find soprano harder to play. With the low tension, you need to be a little bit more aware of your technique, because if you press down too hard, you're going to end up bending the string out of tune. And this setup is even lower tension than standard C tuning, which means that problem becomes exacerbated. So you need to be really aware of your technique while you're doing this, because if I bend at all, I'm going to be out of tune. So I need to be really aware of how I put down my fingers on here, even more so than usual. But learning proper technique and clean technique is a good goal for anyone, so I don't think that that's a downside. The other thing about the tension is it's loading the top less, which means this is a little bit quieter than this instrument is at standard pitch. Now, I put it in my DAW and did a test, and the decibel level is not actually that far off from when it's in standard C tuning, but also because we're missing that top register, that high ringing part, it sounds quieter. We perceive the volume as less. So you will lose volume very likely by doing this. That's dependent on the instrument. Some instruments like lower tension and really sing, but this one's really set up and optimized for C. So I lose a little bit of volume, which doesn't bug me too much. So let's sit back and let's listen to some music now. I'm going to play two tunes for you. We're going to start with Three Little Words. I'm going to link to my video here where I do this on low G uke. It also has the tabs if you want to give this a shot, so you can compare what it sounds like on low G versus Reentrant baritone. Let's hear it. For something a little slower and dreamier, I thought Misty would be a good option. So I'll link here to my video playing that on this same exact uke in Reentrant tuning, standard C tuning, along with the tabs so you can play along if you'd like. Let's hear what it sounds like in Reentrant baritone. The ultimate question, am I going to keep my ancestor's soprano ukulele tuned in Reentrant baritone? Absolutely not, because this is my main instrument that I play every single day and I need to have it in C tuning. But maybe I've reached out to Hajime to consider making me an instrument specifically for this tuning. Let's close it out with a little bit of the song that we're learning on the Magic Ukulele Club this month, Cocaine.